Everybody, and welcome to yet again another incredible podcast episode. And the reason that I say this is going to be incredible is because I have my good friend Matt Fiddes joining us today. So make sure you stay tuned for this fantastic episode, because Matt has got so many words of wisdom that he's going to share with you today, not only from his own experience, but from the experience of the people that he's connected with over the years too. So let's get Matt up now and let's start this episode today. Matt, how are we doing, my friend?
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm very well, thank you. How's things
Yeah,
been?
good, thank you. What about you in the world?
Brilliant. I'm actually in Colombia still, my friend. I'm still here. I'm still loving life. As you can see, I've got this on because it is so hot today, man.
I can't keep track of you. You're all over the place.
Look, this is what life's about, right? Enjoying it, making the most of it, and serving others as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Change as many lives as you can, and then you get what you want.
Exactly that. So, Matt, let's just jump straight in today, my friend. So,
Sure.
I just want you to briefly introduce yourself, talk about, say, who you are, talk about growing up as a young child, maybe through your 20s into your 30s, for instance, and then we're going to really start to uncover some of the things that you had to do in order to get you to the place where you are today.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try and do a short version, Ryan, but my life's been very bizarre. So this normally takes me about 20 minutes, but I'll try and do a short version. So basically, I was a buddy boy at school who, 5 to 7 years old, who's getting really badly bullied, really. It kicked the confidence out of me. And academically, I wasn't doing very well whatsoever at school. My parents, my mum comes from one of 14 children, and they go to university. That was pretty much all of them have done that, including my mum. She was a solicitor, and my dad came from, I guess, a trade background. He worked for the railway, Brunel Railways, and he was all about becoming an electrician or plumber or an engineer. And then you had me, and the only thing I really felt that I was really good at, because of being bullied at school, the child who sat next to me in class said, "Why don't you come along to this martial arts class?" And I went on to the martial arts class, and the first one I went to, didn't really enjoy. It was one called jiu-jitsu, and I got these really long legs. I'm 6'4", but in the class next door there was another one called taekwondo, and the week later I went to that class and I realized this is my future. I could already do the side splits. I could already do the high kicks, and I just knew in a strange way that that was going to be my destiny to go on and do well. So I battled my way through school. I pretty much got relentlessly bullied through school all the time, and then I left school at 16. Obviously, my family wanted me to get good grades. I did my best, but I failed all my GCSE exam, which is the school entry to get into college. So the only thing I could do was become a personal trainer, and I did my lifeguard qualification as well. So I moved away to North Devon, which is in the southwest of England. And initially I was 16, so I just thought I was too young to like start a business. I read somewhere too, Ryan, that if men with long hair look older, I wanted to try and gain age. Funny, huh? And now I want to try and get as younger as I can. And so I grew this ponytail, which came to kind of like a signature thing of what I do. I got a job as a lifeguard at the North Devon Leisure Centre for £2.75 an hour. And I kept putting off this dream of starting my own martial arts school. And then eventually I got in a bit of a rut. I had a bed sit. So my family were completely against everything I was doing. I had a bed sit, which was £30 to £35 a week. I got evicted from 3 bed sits because just couldn't afford the rents. It was heartbreaking. And I remember one Christmas, all my family bought me food and hampers for my Christmas because I was so poor. And then eventually, working as a lifeguard for £2.75 an hour and having my own martial arts classes, which I started, although I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a martial arts fanatic, but being able to make it into a business is another matter. But I was still making £100, £200 a night. eventually I managed to get into a rented accommodation property. Then what happened is, like all of you, what you should be doing to be successful, you study the greatest out there. And although I can't write very well, right? So I can write for myself. I know in the media people always like to report on this, and they get the wrong idea. I can read perfectly well, and I can write. But when I was at school, they assumed I was right-handed. But when I got to secondary school, I was left-handed. There was not much they can do about it. They tried using all these gadgets to give me a one-on-one tutor and stuff, but it didn't help out. And then yeah, so my writing, if I write, it looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Only I can understand it. But it's never held me back in my career, which is interesting at all. So I studied, I had a birthday, and my girlfriend at the time, she bought me the book Unleash the Power Within from Tony Robbins. And that was a game changer for me. I must have read that about 2 or 3 times. And then I went and bought his another book, which is Awaken the Giant Within. And then I got his personal power kit set, his cassette tapes back then. It's funny how things evolve so quick. You think I'm really old, but I'm actually 44. But I started young, you know. So, then I had, you know, I was in this corner where I had to make it happen because where I lived in Devon is kind of like a holiday resort. So my lifeguard work would dry up in the winter. So my girlfriend at the time said, "You're putting this thing off all the time. Why don't you just get on with it?" She bought me a briefcase for Christmas, which is like a kick at the butt really to get this business started, and I did. And then I started to look for who else was doing great in this sector because that's what Tony Robbins teaches you: get a mentor, get someone who's been there and done it. And I couldn't find anyone. It's quite a new concept for the UK. No one was doing martial arts business in a big way or doing it right or correctly. Then a friend of mine came back from America, and he's called Lee, and he was there and he was visiting friends and stuff, and he come back, and back then we had these pages, Ryan. He paged me and he says, "Can ring me urgently." And I remember going to the red telephone box, ringing Lee, say, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Matt, you got to see what's going on in the States." Because the USA, they were like 20 years ahead of us at the time. And they had these amazing martial arts schools with thousands of members, with multi-millionaires. And our initial reaction as professional martial artists is we don't want to compromise standards for money. But so that's what I said to him. He said, "No, Matt, they got that as well. They got standards and they got the money." So there was a big conference. So every 6-7 months or so, there would be a big conference where 1,000 multi-millionaire martial arts business owners would get together in the States and network, and you come away. It's very different to today's world where it's kind of like a pitch fest nowadays. It was you sit there for 3 days, come away with amazing content, come back and you network and implement into your business. So when I arrived there, I saved up enough money, by the way, and it took me a long time because £2.75 an hour and £3 a class and an ice cream box. That was my martial arts class. It took me a while. So I managed to afford a ticket to get to San Francisco. This is where it was being held. And the guy who owned the whole organization for teaching the business side, he was called Nicholas Kokinas, and his sons, John and Mark, worked for him too. Multi-millionaires. Nicholas Kokinas owned a lot of the Marriott hotels. A very, very clever man. And I saw, as I walked into the Hyatt Hotel, I saw them sat there, and I walked up to them and I introduced myself to him. And he said, "That rarely happens, especially from a young guy who was like 17 at the time." And he praised me for it. So did his sons. I'm still in contact with his son nowadays, and he said, if you made this trip on your last money, you're so young, and we better make you successful, Matt, and make you famous at the same time. And he wanted to make me like the showcase that anyone can do it from any background in his organization. So from that point onwards, he told me to go and follow certain people in America, people who are movers and shakers. So I was getting up at 4 a.m. I was watching classes, taking notes, going to staff meetings, watching how they do their marketing. And he said, some of it will work, some of it won't, but bring it back to the UK and see what happens. So I did bring it all back to the UK. I came back with notepads full of information and I implemented it. I was one of the first people in the UK, if not the first, to put people onto monthly payments. Nowadays, we call it direct debits or EFTs. Back then, it was called standing orders. And that was a game changer because that secured my income. And I had 100 members at twice a week paying me like 59 quid a month. So I was making 5 to 6,000 a month plus exam fees and merchandise and so on. And then this is a little village called Braunton. I had 10,000 people there, and half of them are coffin dodgers. They're old, it's where you go to retire. So, and there's a town nearby which has 30,000 people, which is like the central hub of North Devon, called Barnstable. So I was looking for a building. I wanted one of those buildings like they've got in America, these full-time mega centres. Now, that's actually the wrong thing to do. I've learned 27 years now. For the UK, that's not the right model to have. But I did get one. For Ego wanted me to have one. And an estate agent had 2 floors above it, the first and second floor, up for rent. And it was office space. And I went in there and I said, listen, I would like to rent your 2 floors. When they asked, when they could see I was really young, I tried to put a suit on and look professional. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to be teaching martial arts. They laughed me out of the office. They said, that's not going to happen. And you're not going to pay your bills doing that, Matthew. Get out of here. And off you go. So I went away. And also, I was too young to sign a lease. I went away, and then I had a conversation with my mother, who was a conveyancing solicitor. So for those that don't know, from other country, that's a real estate lawyer, somebody who deals with property. So she knew all the estate agents because she was completing exchanging contracts for them all the time for their clients. So I said to Mum, I said, what can I do here? She goes, well, let me put a word in, because she believed in me. She really did. She said there's no such word as can. You can do anything you want to, put your mind to it. Even though I got no school qualifications whatsoever, she saw I was onto something. So she called this estate agent and said, listen, Matt's onto something. And I think, why don't you give him 6 months rent free? What have you got to lose? Let him knock all the partitions down, decorate it with his own money. And if it works, it works. It doesn't. The market was flat back then. We're talking like 97, something like that. So I went back in there. Now, the biggest issue I had was that I was only 17. I couldn't sign a lease. But my girlfriend was 19. So I changed her name. Well, I didn't change it. A lawyer did. By deed poll. She went to Fiddes. She went in there. She signed the lease. And they gave me 6 months free rent. And I remember it was just before Christmas. On New Year's Eve, I was in there decorating. And it's right on the front, on the square in Barnstable, North Devon, looking out. And everyone there, that's where they all gather for New Year's Eve celebration. All the fireworks were going off and people were drunk and having fun. And there I was decorating, thinking, am I doing something wrong here or what? But then that's the secret sauce, right, Ryan, is observe the masses and do the opposite. While they're all getting drunk and watching the fireworks go off, I was painting my future. So I opened the doors about 2 weeks later. I still got some of my original first members. I met one of them today, actually, in Exeter, bumped into them. And I went from 0 income. Within 6 months, I had 700 members. With all the income streams that I've put into my business, which I learned for studying the great, I was making £1 million a year, doing 80,000 a month. And it became the biggest martial arts school in the UK. It was unbelievable. You couldn't make it up. I was teaching a lot of classes because I never had any staff. I didn't master that one, so I was knackered all the time. I must have been doing about 37 to 40 classes per week. But it was my passion into my profession. I loved it. I didn't moan about it. And I had Porsches and so on. And one of my goals was to have a Ferrari by the time I was 20 as well. So I had all these goals mapped out on my physical goals and stuff. And I really felt, yeah, I've got it now. Screw you, bullies. Screw you, mum and dad and grandparents. I've done it. I've made it, and it's worked out. Part of me thought maybe it was a little bit of a fluke. So I tried it again. So there's another town near there called Bideford. I did it again there. This time I hired the school hall. I had exactly the same effect without the massive overheads of rent and electricity and business rates and staff. Then I did it in Ilfracombe and then in Southmore. So I have 5 locations. Can't even get my 5 fingers on. Too big, you know what I mean. And then I just thought the next town from there, Ryan, was 40 miles away. And I thought, well, I'm never going to get anybody who's one of my students to travel that far. So I kind of had like a mind shift, not a mind shift, where this ain't going to happen. My mindset was in the right place. But then bizarrely, this is a bit where I'll get onto now and get out of the way, and then you can ask me the questions. Is that one of my I had two students, a little boy and a little girl, who were extremely good. And their dad took a lot of interest in what they did. And he was sitting in the waiting area while I was working away behind reception in my office, planning my future and setting goals with my 5 schools. And he said to me, he said, Matt, I know you got bullied at school. I know you got no qualifications. I know you've got no handwriting, because he's seen me trying to write. It's been horrendous. And I'm a journalist, and I work for an agency, supply news to journalists and TV stations. Do you mind if I interview you, take a picture of you in your sports car, and put it out? And I wanted that recognition, so I jumped at the chance, because I wanted to prove people wrong. So we did a photo shoot in my car. He interviewed me about my past, my background, and so on, and what happened. He was not stupid. He did the figures on the calculator. He knew I was doing a lot of money. And I was very honest. So I thought, why hide your success? You're telling parents, I'm going to change your child's life. And telling adults, you're going to change your life. And if you're trying to play down your success, then be honest. But if people would say to me, oh, you must have a lot of money. Yeah, I have. Isn't it great? Well, I'm going to try and make your child be successful too. Isn't that fantastic? And they change their attitude. People want you to be honest. So I was honest to him. I said, yeah, I'm making $1.5 million a year. And, I'm 18. And it's incredible. And I'm grateful. I love my students. This is my passion. He did the interview. Now, I said to him, all I wanted to do, Ryan, is make the local paper, because they kind of doubted me. And just like you have trolls and online haters now on the internet, we'll probably get some soon. Back then, it was gossip and rumors and blogs and media columns and stuff like that. So I hated all that stuff. Anyway, I went away. Nothing happened for 2 or 3 days. And then I woke up, the phone was ringing. So we didn't have much mobile phones back then. The phone was ringing, the landline's off the hook, in my office, at my home. I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And literally, I was on the front page of every single tabloid and broadsheet newspaper in the UK. Bullied boy becomes millionaire. And I had a picture of me when I was 6 years old, looking cute, innocent. And then me, my martial arts suit, my sports car. This guy, it made international news. And then off the back of that, when you get in the newspaper, when you get in tabloids, then the TV shows, they scan the newspaper for stories. So then they love my story. Then I ended up being on TV talk shows like Trisha, Esther Ramson, Kilroy, Richard and Judy. And it went on and become extremely well known very quick. Owned my niche, my sector very fast. I had the who's who of everyone visiting my school. How is this wonder kid, 18, got the biggest martial arts school in the UK, and he's all over the media. And also, as a kid, I used to ride my BMX bike to the local news agents to get a magazine called Martial Arts Illustrated, which is like the Bible of martial arts back then, and scan it and read it. My dream was to be featured in there one day. I ended up being featured on the front cover. And other than Bruce Lee, I'm the only other person has had as many other covers than him. So the editor tells me. So I was very happy about it in my career. So I kind of made it. And that came to the attention of a very famous person called Uri Geller, who, depends on where you live in the world. In the UK, he's more famous probably for being known as the spoon bender. With the power of his mind, he strokes spoons and they bend and so forth. A mind power expert. All the other countries in the world, he does lectures and big conferences. He has TV shows called The Next Uri Geller or Phenomenon in America, which is like an X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent format where they audition to be the next Uri Geller. World famous guy. He's got 54, I think, published books around the world. And he wanted to meet me, and he wanted to do a self-defense video where I did self-defense for kids, because bullying was a massive issue back then. Well, it still is now, but it was really topical. And he would do like positive mindset, so he'd come on first and I'll do the self-defense. We became really close friends. And long story short, unbeknown to me, his best friend was a very famous man. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, Uri Geller called my house on the phone in Barnstable, and this wasn't uncommon for him. He would do that quite often because he had companies all around the world in Australia, so he had to stay up late, and he didn't sleep much. He called me up. He said, "Matt, you got to come to my house now." And he had this big replica of the White House in a place called Sonning-on-Thames. He still owns it now, I believe, next to George Clooney and so on. It's on the River Thames. Incredible place. Got to come to my house now. If you don't, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I said to him, I can't go. What am I going to say to my other half, my partner? She's going to think, you got to tell me why I'm coming, Yuri. He said, no, you trust me. You got a Ferrari. Don't moan. I'll see you in 3 hours. Love you. Bye. Put the phone down on me. And I drive to his house. I get there about 6:30 in the morning. The electric gates open. I drive down to his incredible, mansion he has. Nothing really gave it away. There was 3 SUV blacked out cars at the front. I walk in his front door into one of his living rooms, and then this frail guy walks up to me and he bows to me. He says, "Hi, Master Fiddes. I'm Michael Jackson. Pleased to meet you." And I'm thinking, is this a prank TV show or what? What the heck is it? Unknown to me, Michael Jackson and Uri Geller were best friends, and Michael was best man at Uri Geller's wedding, and they talked daily, and he went to one of Uri Geller's conferences in the 80s and 70s, and he believed in all that power of the mind and magical stuff, So me and Michael got on really well. We stayed up for 2 or 3 days talking, and they both went on to be godparents to my children, and and then from there on, I was with Michael, and he was saying, "How's your business going?" What you find is billionaires or really successful people get sick of people asking about them. They're quite curious about you, and he loved martial arts. That's kind of the fascination why he wanted to meet me, because he puts martial arts moves in his dance moves. So Michael asked me one day in his hotel suite, "How's your business going?" So I've got 5 schools, but the next one is 40 miles away. I'm not going to be able to do that. So why can't you do that? I'm a poor boy from Gary, Indiana. There was 9 of us in a 2-bedroom house. My dad didn't even have shoes to go to work. We had handouts from our neighbors to be able to feed us. Of course you can do that. And I said, well, how can I do it? It's like 40 miles. It's cool. He said it's called franchising. And he got a hotel napkin, and he wrote down all the things I need to get in place. Like marketing was a big thing for him. Becoming a brand. Being in people's faces all the time. How to manipulate the mainstream media. How to stay relevant, how to systemize your business, how to duplicate it so over and over and over and over again. And he kept me accountable. And sometimes I used to avoid his phone calls, Ryan, because he used to ring up the house and say, "Michael's on the phone." I'm like, "Oh, geez, tell him I'll ring him back," and because he was tough on me. It's the kind of side that my people don't see to Michael Jackson. He was ruthless businessman. You don't get to be the most famous man in the world, have the biggest selling album of all time, unless you're a clever dude. He's not clever. He knows when he puts makeup on and sticky tape on his nose, he makes mainstream media. He's on the front pages, £1 billion worth of publicity. So me and Mike were tight mates for years. I took over his security operation because he was getting ripped off by everyone. So we looked after him and his children and some of his family over a 10-year period. And he would keep me accountable. And on the back end of that, I went in his era anyway, I went from the 5 schools to 700 schools in 2 years, and I got 1,700 schools now. I've got the biggest property portfolio in the southwest of the UK, which is privately owned. So I'm really proud of that. Uri Geller pushed me to buy property from when I was 18. He wanted me to buy 5 a month, and Michael Jackson pushed me to expand my business and make it into this mega brand, which it is now. And we're in all different countries. We've done a deal with Boxer Size, a collaboration, where they've got 5,400 locations. So we're going into each one of them. So we'll be everywhere and many different countries. So it's gone from a business I started off with £100, working at £2.75 an hour, and going to San Francisco with my last money. And last year it was valued at 120 million. So it just proves you success is all about mindset. Who you know, your networks, your network, and school system didn't do nothing for me. Just a waste of 16 years of my life. So that's my story, as short as I can make it. Over to you.
Wow, Matt, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And what an incredible story it's been so far. And I'm sure there's still so much more for you to realize and to achieve in your life too. So it's super exciting for you to be here and share your words with us today, because look, I've heard it before, but every time I hear you speak, I think it's absolutely incredible. And my mind was just going round in circles because there's so many takeaways that we can take from you today. So I just want to go back to the beginning with some of the things that I first heard you say, to ask some of the questions that we're going to get into now, so people that are listening or who will listen can take the most from your words today. So, Matt, some of the questions that I want to ask you is, right at the beginning, you was mentioning about you was bullied. You
Mm.
was bullied for a very long time, and it was just relentless, like it was a daily basis. And look, many of us have been there, got bullied at one point in our lives, whether it's childhood or even adulthood. And it's not a nice thing. It's shit, to be fair,
Yeah.
because you feel crap every single day and you feel worthless, in all honesty. So, for anyone that's listening now and they've gone through, say, a tough past in their life or are currently going through a challenge in their life now, whether it's being bullied by, say, other people, friends, family members, people around them, for instance, whether it's they've got negative surroundings, people telling them that they shouldn't go after their dreams or they can't do this, they can't do that, for instance. What one or two tips could you tell
Yeah.
someone listening to maybe move away from that and to say limit or reduce the noise coming from those people to actually focus on what it is that they want and to take the action that they need to take rather than say being held back by these potential people in their lives?
Well, nobody wants you to have a tower bigger than them. So your friends will be happy with you, but as soon as your tower starts becoming taller than theirs, they're either going to knock you down or try and bring you equal to them. So I have this when I'm on stage and I do talks. I have this saying that you love your family. The family can be your worst one, Ryan, because they will come from different eras. Your parents, your grandparents. Your grandparents will be industrial era, very different way of thinking, different things. You didn't even have email back then or internet. Your parents will probably come from a mixture of both, and now you're in digital era. So you got to love your family, but don't take advice from them. That's number one. The other thing, as far as the bullying thing goes, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And the bully, the actual initial one, he's called Anthony Reap. He's a good friend of mine now. He reached out to me in about 2017 on Facebook. He said, "Listen, Matt, I want to apologize because I made you a life hell back then. And good on you, mate. I followed your career. I'd love to meet you sometime." But he's a bit cautious about meeting me because I'm often a martial artist and maybe he thought I was a bit upset with him. But look at what he's done. If it wasn't for him, there would have been no Michael Jackson. There would have been none of this mega success I've got, the properties I own and the money I've built, the Lamborghinis on my car, my Ferraris and all the rest of it, be nothing. So I said to him, don't be ridiculous. We can use this as a story to inspire kids. So I said to my team, he wants to meet me. And I said, well, let's not waste it. Let's do it on TV. So I met him. So bear in mind, the last time I saw him, I was like 7, 8 years old. I met him for the first time in 32 years on live TV on This Morning. You're probably aware of that show. With Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby interview him. And they brought me out first and did my life story about where I am at now. Then he brought him out and they kept us in separate green rooms. So the first time we met was in front of this audience of millions of people. And we became best friends. And a year later, we went back on there and I helped him lose weight. He trains with me now. He's my anti-bully ambassador now and so on. So bullying is a thing of life, Ryan. I get bullied every day now online. If I had to Google my name, I'd probably go insane if I read everything about me, right? What I learned from hanging around with the world's elite is that, like Michael used to have this saying that if they're not talking about you or saying bad things about you, then something's wrong. You got to worry about it when people don't talk about you. You've got to keep that noise going. And Uri Geller used to call it free publicists. And I love that because they're out there. Like if I have an article on me on the Mail Online, which is the biggest news outlet in the world, then there's this comment section where people have to register and log in and type away and fake names. If people are going to spend all that time doing that about you and publicize your name, it just pushes it up through the algorithms. It gets you in the top space and you want the haters. And I love it now. I love the bullies, the haters. Now, I understand if it's kids that are getting physically bullied, but that's very different. I think what you got to try and do is learn about who the bullies are and then avoid them. They go after underconfident kids. So what my parents' strategy was, is they kept on moving me to school. I must have changed school about 7 times in Swindon. But every time I went to a new school, I attracted them because I was very shy and underconfident. And then I became successful. And then the things turned around. I remember going actually, one of my other bullies I had, not the initial one, It's another one was quite ruthless to me in secondary school. I remember I bought a brand new Ferrari, £140,000 360 Spider. And I shouldn't say it, but I actually had a McDonald's, but it's okay every now and then to have a Mackie D's, isn't it? And I went through the drive-through, and my bully handed me my McDonald's in the summer sprays in my 360 Spider back then, 140 grand car back then, and it felt flipping good, you know. And if it weren't for me being bullied, I wouldn't be where I am now. And it's a forever thing. You just got to learn to accept it. That people will be jealous of you. They're gonna want to knock you back. They will never understand you. And it's the ones who can stand up to that are gonna go out there and be successful. People will talk bad of you. They will make up stories and lies about you. But that's when you know you made it. That's the measure of success. It's how many people are talking bad of you, hating on you, because that's how it works. If you want back in the mainstream media days, if you want to be in there, you'd have to be of human interest. People would have to be talking about you on the streets and gossip about you and stuff. I've been in back then after all those TV shows. I'd be in queues, lined up to get, some food in my lunch break at my martial arts school, and I'd hear people in the queue talking about me and saying ridiculous things about me, even though they didn't realise I was in the queue. You know, now it's all online. It's very different. You've got to embrace it and just get on with it. It's just a fact of life. That's how you measure your true success. And the people that don't make it, they get bullied or trolled on, and they pull back and think, "Oh, I don't like that," and that's it. You've got to push through that. That's how you're going to make it. So that's my major tips there is embrace the bullies, understand it's going to happen, haters. They're your lovers, really. Why would they spend all that time logging in, fake name, and commenting on you and trolling you on live feeds and stuff like that? If they didn't love you, they love you. They just don't get it. They got a problem with themselves, not you. They got an issue with their own mental health to be doing that in the first place, not with you. So yeah, I love them to death, and I wish them well. And like, if you could, you could buy likes and you could buy followers. If I could buy haters and the trolls, I would love that, because they are the best publicists to get my stuff to go viral in the world. I actually did a story once. I went to buy this. Oh no, when I bought my Lamborghini, that's right. I bought my Lamborghini. It's a 300 grand car, and it made massive news because of my background and profile. I did a TV show called Rich House Poor House, so it's quite easy for me to get in the media. And I just did an Instagram post. I went into the Sun newspaper, Mail Online. It was massive news. It got into CNN and Fox News in America too. And I got a massive amount of hate on the back of that, like in the comments. So, he's showing off. And I was actually just trying to inspire people. If you don't have qualifications, you can still do it. Look what I've managed to achieve. So one of the newspapers said to me, how would you handle the hate, Matt, in the comment section? I said, I love it, man. It's what bought me the Lamborghini. Those guys bought me the Lamborghini. So they did a story on that. Matt Fiddes thanks the haters and trolls for hating on his story, and thank you for buying me my Lamborghini and my Ferraris. And they did that story. Now that story went viral because all the haters hated on the story that was about themselves. Unbelievable. Complete idiots. But there you are. I love them all, and I wish I had more of them. And that's when you know you've made it. If you go on a big TV show, you really feel it, But if your mental health is not in the right place, your mindset, understanding this, it's different. And back then, we didn't have the information. Now, it's because of online and formats like this, we can tell people that's normal. You're going to experience that. There's nearly 80 million people in the UK. You're going to find 50, 60 people who are going to troll you and give you a hard time. So I used to have people who'd wake up every day, and their sole mission was to bring down Matt Fiddes. They would do anything. On newspapers, on blogs. That's all they did. I don't get that so much anymore. But in the early days, when I was in my early 20s and making millions and millions, and I understand it. I totally get it right. It's not normal for an 18-year-old to be hanging around with Michael Jackson, Uri Geller, Britney Spears, and Mohammed Al Fayed. And when I was so young, and bringing them to my hometown in Barnstable, Devon, I knew that's not normal. My people my age were going out drinking and going off with girls, and I was not normal. I had a Ferrari 355. At 20 years old. That's not normal. I don't understand people back then. Now at 44, I look back and I totally get why people thought I was a little bit different. But yeah, that's life. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Matt, thank you again so much. And yes, so many great tips there about using, say, the shit that people throw at you as fertilizer to help you evolve, blossom and bloom into the person that you've become, for instance. You mentioned about the TV show Rich Home Poor Home, was it?
Rich House Poor
That was the
House.
Rich
Yeah.
House Poor House. That's the very first time that I saw you, Matt. I remember
Yeah, of
watching
course.
it when I was a lot younger than I am today, and yeah, I watched it with my mum, and I saw you on there, and I was like, God, this guy's really cool. And yeah, I remember watching the whole episode, and absolutely brilliant. And then I connected with you further down the line, which is obviously years later. So what I want to use or talk about with that, for instance, is two different, say, ends of the spectrum of the scale. For instance, rich house, poor house, rich family, poor family, for instance. So with your story, you mentioned that you just went off to America, you had a few quid in your pocket, and that was it. You just thought, right, I'm going all in on this and I'm going to make it work. Matt, there's so many people out there nowadays that say they've come from a poor family, they come from a family that doesn't do business, there's a family that have never had, say, success in their lives, never had money, for instance. So they use that identity that they've branded themselves with and their family to then not go on to do or take the necessary action step to actually go on to achieve success in their lives. And they say, oh, I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough money to do that. I don't know the right people, for instance. So from your story and your background and your own journey, which you mentioned, you started with minimal money and then managed to magnetize it into what it is today. Anyone that is, say, doubting themselves or has the belief that they don't have enough of whatever it is, whether it's money, a network, whatever it is, people around them, what few tips could you give to someone that hasn't got the right belief in their mind that they can actually achieve what it is that they really want?
With today's world, Ryan, anyone can achieve anything with online technology that we have now. I mean, I do this every day because I've moved into mentorship now in every sector of business, not just martial arts. My martial arts business is the biggest of its kind in its world. Got over 1,700 locations and it's growing and growing. I'm very proud of that. My property portfolio is the biggest in the southwest of the UK. That's growing. I'm buying more houses than ever this year. But when I started, because people say, oh, you need money to make money and all this nonsense. No, you don't. I am living proof that that's complete nonsense. So apart from the first house I ever bought for me to live in, the first 47 properties I bought was with no money down strategies, right? I still got all those today, those particular ones. And the business I started off with £100, and now it's valued at 120 million. And there's a strategy system out there. You just got to go and find someone that's done it and model them. So I get a lot of people who come into my communities or when I'm on stage talks to people, I'm sure you know friends with like Rob Moore and Jess and James, and I get all the time, I've got no money, where do I start? Well, you start with investing in yourself. You've got to give yourself the right education. Although there needs to be a bit of a warning, I'm quite passionate about this, is that they have to be careful. Because back then, before this digital online stuff, which is amazing, back then, whoever who was running stages and big events, they were genuine, right? They were making a lot of money. You knew it. You didn't question it. There was no sales pitch. It was just pure content and information. There was no masterminds or whatever you call it now. There was networking, we called it. Today's world, anyone can package something up, sell it online, and you don't know who's behind it. So what people need to be very careful. I see this in the martial arts industry all the time. It's shocking. People have never made money as running a martial arts school before. They make out they have, but no one does their due diligence and asks them. And then they launch Mastermind 1, Mastermind 2, Mastermind 3. Then they try and franchise, and then they bring out a book and they self-publish it on Amazon and they make it a bestseller. Well, you know, it's a system to do that. Everyone buys it, your friends or yourself buy 500-600 of them in an hour. It's #1 bestseller. I mean, that's worn thin now. Then you start a podcast, so you've got that credibility. In the hope that no one will ask you, have you actually done this yourself? Can I see your last 5 years' accounts? So when I started selling franchises, Ryan, lawyers have to get involved. And they want to see my last 5 years' accounts. And I would happily give them. It shows I made a lot of money. And then people would buy a franchise off me and off they go. In today's world of online, that's kind of got lost. And I hear all these stories of people who have invested 150,000 in online courses and different kind of courses they've gone to. And I know the people behind it have never asked any money. And I've said to them, did you ask, who's the fool here, you or them? Did you do your due diligence? Did you Google them? Did you check them on Company's House? Did you ask them for 5 years profit and loss to make sure they are making the money in their niche? And they say no, because they got a book out or they got a podcast and they got a number one book. So they must be credible. Because if you're an author, your class is credible. And that's kind of like the system right now. So it's kind of a dangerous route. You've got to make sure you get the right mentor and the right advice from people who have done it. So I think it's okay. I have no issue. I mean, people don't ask me anymore, but because I've been around and obviously I've like shows like Rich House, Poor House, because of Ofcom regulation, you've got to submit all your accounts and your properties and to show your net worth to be able to get on shows like that. However, most people don't ask people out there before they spend 25, 30, 40,000 pounds or even 2 or 3,000 pounds. Can I see that you've actually done it yourself, please? You know, they don't do it anymore. And they get burnt, and then it kind of puts stigma. And I'm hoping the coaching industry will get regulated at some point. I believe there's a couple of states in America where it's regulated. And this whole mastermind thing is become a bit of a thing. But I think you have to take it back to your own responsibility, invest in yourself, do your due diligence, find out what your passion is to turn into a profession, find somebody who really has done it, make sure they have earned the money, at least 5 years evidence, not 1 or 2, at least 5 years, and make sure that money hasn't just come from selling courses, which a lot of them have, or selling mastermind. Make sure they've been there and done what they're selling behind it. And then if that's the case, then off they go. I mean, I only associate myself with people who've been there and are real deal. The ones that aren't real deals, or I found that they haven't seen, I've gone on show and I don't have anything to do with it. I don't want to be associated to the fake it till you make it brigade. That's what I call them, the fake it till you make it. And yeah, and you know, it's like people who back in the Instagram days where I won't mention names, there's very famous American influencers made millions, and he took a picture. I mean, he admits it, right? He hired a Lamborghini for a day. He did a YouTube video, I believe, and an Instagram of a Lamborghini. And boom, it took off. Everyone bought his services, made him a multi-millionaire, and now he makes a bit of a joke. He hired it for the day. That's all he did. So people mustn't be fooled by the ones, people with these private jets and these helicopters and big buildings. In America, they have a saying that, like the Texans do, which is big hat, no castle. So they have big profile, but nothing behind it, and no money behind it. You got to be buying. There's something I always teach. Don't take advice off people who earn less than you. What's the point of doing that? It's crazy. For financial, make sure. Like I had a financial advisor who wanted to come and see me. He's for the NFU. It's a big organisation in the UK. And he come in, and I'm me, right? So I know money very, very well. So I sat down with him, and he starts asking all these questions about how much I earn, how many properties I own, how many kids do I have, what am I? And I said, whoa, stop a second. Before you go any further, I need to know from you, well, how much do you earn? How much savings do you have? How much property do you have, Mr. Financial Advisor? How many kids? How much money do you have? You know, what do you invest in? Well, you can't ask me that. So why can't I? You're supposed to be advising me. I need to know that you've got money, otherwise I'm not going to take advice of you. He stood up out my office and he walked off in such anger. He couldn't believe it. I can't believe you're asking this about me. What's the problem? You know, but this is the issue, is the situation you're in. If you go into a bank now and you say, I want to invest in my money into mutual funds or a pension, or I'm looking for a mortgage, you're going to get a 19-year-old come out who's renting, well, probably not even renting, staying in a room in their parents' house, giving you advice on where to put your money. So you've got to be careful. Because the online world's great, and it's fast how we can make people rich. And I've done it. I've probably made 500 or 600 millionaires in my career, and in mentoring in all different sectors and so forth. And people know when they come to me, you know, like with you, that we're the real deal. We've been through the school of hard knocks, right? They put our name in Google. There's years of social proof. And if you haven't got years of social proof and the bank statements to back it up, don't buy from them. Find someone that is genuine out there, you know. So, but Tony Robbins started this whole thing off. He's a bit of a legend, and but yeah, the online does bring some danger to it, but it's down to people to do their own homework.
Thanks again, Matt. Like, it's so true, because social media is fake, really. Like, people, or the majority of people, only put up the best bits. And you know, I see an advert the other day on social media, only just a couple of days ago, where in America some dude has set up in a building, the inside of a private jet, in like this lock-up building, so people can go and rent this for a day, so they can take loads of selfies, stick it on their social media, and he gets something like $70 per hour. But then these individuals that are doing it are sticking it on their social media, and people are believing this. So it's so true. Like, always do your
Yeah,
due diligence. Always look at the source of, say, the information that you're receiving, the advice, for instance. And never, I just say, never take advice from someone who you would not happily trade places with. Because if you wouldn't swap your life for theirs, then why are you going to take advice from that person, for
exactly.
instance? And going back to, say, friends, family, like you mentioned it earlier, like family, they love us, they want the best for us, but they're giving us advice from their potentially outdated mindset or their limited believing mindsets. And as much as they love us, they potentially don't know what is correct for us in that moment. So really do your research on the advice that you're getting, anyone that's listening to this today. But Matt, moving forwards, I want to ask you the question or start speaking about the power of your surroundings, about proximity, because proximity is power. And you've obviously surrounded yourself with some of the all-time greats. And I want to ask you again, for anybody that's listening now that potentially, say, has limited surroundings, has, say, friends, family members, society, school, whatever it is, people that are, say, pushing them down and that are not helping them, say, evolve into the very best version of themselves. How could somebody, say, first of all, change their surroundings, move away from these potential negative surroundings, and get themselves around the people that are going to help lift them up? And yeah, just tell us why you think surroundings are so important.
Well, it made me, Ryan. It made me be hanging out with when I used to have dinner with Michael Jackson and his friends. We on that dinner table. I mean, one that always sticks out to mind for me was when I had to pinch myself, and I was sat next to Michael. He didn't want to go alone. He was quite shy, believe it or not. So he went to Mohammed Al Fayed's house, who's a billionaire. He owns Harrods, for people that don't know. He's just passed away, sadly. And he owns the Ritz Hotel in Paris. He's a multi-billionaire. So we went to his house for dinner on a Saturday night. And we had Michael Jackson was standing next to me. Then we had Uri Geller there. And then we had Daryl Hannah, the movie star from Kill Bill, or wherever you know her from, Splash Mermaid, I think was the first time I saw her. And David Blaine, the magician. I mean, all these successful people, and go on and on. And when they talk on a Saturday night, an average family or meetup, friends, they will be talking about other people. These guys are just talking about ideas, and not about making money, but changing the world in such a big way that billions will be the byproduct, you know? And I didn't realize, but I was probably part of the most unique mastermind in the world, if you want to call it that, or network for 10 years of my, well, even now, because I stayed in contact with most of the people, even after he passed away. And yeah, their mindset rubbed off on 18-year-old Matt. And in my early 20s, I thought like they did. I wanted to be like them. My goal was to be richer than Michael. Honestly, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I wanted to kiss his ass. You know, not kiss his ass, kick his ass. You know, when everyone else was kissing his ass, I wanted to kick it. And he would wind me up too. Like, he'd ring me up and say, you know, how many martial arts schools are open? I said, I've done 20. And then I threw the question back at him, how you doing, Mike? And he said, oh, I've just signed an $80 million tour of Korea. And I come off the phone feeling like crap. And I got up my game, and that would motivate me, you know. And seeing these guys do these deals and just keep this machine going, and their friends and network. And I could get to anyone I wanted to get to, because if you're Michael Jackson's best mate, everyone wanted to know you. And it was an incredible thing. I mean, when I used to go shopping at Harrods, Mohammed Al Fayed used to come and greet me and my family. And if I was with Michael, he would shut it down for us to shop in peace for a few hours, because Michael would just get mobbed. So yeah, it's everything. Your network is who you're going to become. The people you surround yourself, who you're going to become. You're going to hang around five.
Oh, Matt's just left. Matt, he's left. Oh no, let's wait for Matt a minute, just in case he's going to come back. But we've just lost him. Let's try and get him back. Bear with me, people. Let's see if I can get him back. We've lost Matt just as he was. Matt, you're back. We lost you there
I don't know
briefly.
what happened there, a bit of a cut up. Yeah, if you're going to hang around with 5 millionaires, you'll be number six. You can hang around with 5 billionaires, you're going to be number six. You're going to hang around with five poor people, you're going to be the sixth poor person. It's all about who you hang around with and who you become. So I'm very cautious about who I spend time with, because unconsciously you're going to pick up their character traits and the way they think. And the greatest way I normally teach this is that children, when they're born, they develop accents. And the reason they develop accents is from their family, normally their parents and their grandparents and their siblings. And they'll get a strong accent. You know, from the UK, every half an hour the accent will change. Now, not only will they develop accents, they will also inherit their parents' and their grandparents' beliefs and their traits, you know, and their thought patterns and so forth, gestures and things. So you've got to keep very guarded on that and then understand that. So with me, I'm very cautious with the circle I keep around me, and I'm always trying to find, you know, the best out there and how I can take myself to the next level too. So you have to guard your mind. You have to guard it. And I'm not saying go and get rid of all your friends and get a load of new ones, but just be aware that people are not going to agree with you. They're not going to understand you. People don't understand me. They're like, why do you want to keep working for, Matt? You should just travel the world and sunbathe and chill out and relax. And, you know, why do you want 6 kids? Well, I've got 6 kids. And whenever I mention it, people are shocked. But why wouldn't I want 6 kids? I don't have to worry about money. People normally stop having kids because they have to worry about money. I don't have that problem in my life. So, you know, we want another kid. We want to have kid number 7 one day too. But it's an interesting one. But yeah, you got to control your network of who you hang around with. Proximity is power. And everything I do, like the WhatsApp groups I'm part of, are probably most valuable to my clients than any of the content videos I do and the events. Because in there, they've got millionaires, social media experts, franchising experts, and they've got, you name it, property experts in every area, rent to rent, no money down, development. And I've got an incredible network, and my contact book is insane. So it's everything. And the truth is, Ryan, you're only 3 handshakes from anyone in the world. That's it. When I go to look at speakers or people I want, I know I can get them. I know somebody or somebody who knows somebody who can get them. And if you create a win-win, it's going to make it happen. And yeah, you could be anything you want to be. I mean, this is not a hard game. The money game is very simple to work out. Once you've got your mindset worked out, you're okay. And the hardest thing, I think, to work out is for people to get their personal life right. That's the thing I find challenging. So I can't teach you how to go and find your perfect partner. So I was married for 10 years before, my rehearsal marriage. We get on very well. We're good friends. I've got 3 daughters with her, and we speak a lot, and I speak to the children every day, and I've got the other 3 children too. They don't know any different. I put my kids first. We've always put the children first. She married me hoping, I think, that I was going to be watching TV shows like Coronation Street, EastEnders, soap operas for people who don't know who they are from other countries. But yeah, we ended up having helicopters flying over the house looking for Michael Jackson and paparazzi and news stories. That's not what she signed up for. And she couldn't understand why I wanted to keep working and working and working. I didn't get that bit right. I got it right now. I mean, I've been with Monique now for over 12 years, and we've got 3 kids, and she understands what she married into. But getting your personal life right is probably the hardest bit. Once you've got that right, though, everything, your business success will go first. I think you need to get your health right first. That's number one. Because if you're not healthy, there's no point having the money. Being the richest person in the graveyard ain't going to be any good. Get your personal life. Make sure you got that backbone there. I mean, that's saying there's behind every man there's a strong woman, also. That's true. And the other way around, behind every successful woman is a strong man who lets them do that. That is very true. And then you develop your business. You know, you need to get your priorities right. People chase the money too much. The money is a byproduct of putting out an amazing product or service. If you focus on that, offering a tremendous value, the money's a byproduct, and everything else will happen. I believe a lot in the law of attraction. You know, I'm not religious. My wife is, but I'm not. I don't get into all that. But what I do believe is that we don't really understand everything. There's a lot of things in my life that I cannot explain. I know it's not normal to have the life I had when I was 17, 18. And looking back, it's been insane. But I do believe that if you visualize and think hard about things and stuff, for some reason, it does make things happen. Like one of my goals, I wanted to have a Ferrari by the time I was 20. That happened when I was 20. And I met the guy recently, he sold me it. I just bought another one on Friday. And the guy still works there all these years on. He said, he remembers when I came in, skinny guy with a ponytail, and wasn't sure to take me serious or not. And I walked out of a 355 Spider. And he uses that story always to sell people. And recently, I went to buy another Ferrari. Actually, I was in a tracksuit and I had a long day of traveling. And I walked in and they ignored me. And that went viral, that news story. But it's just the way it works. You need to be very cautious of getting your priorities right, getting your health right. There's 3 plans you need to have. And your first one is your health plan. Your second one is your personal finance plan, which is what you want in your life, what house you want to live in, what cars you want to drive, holidays you want. Do you want your kids to go to private school? What kind of lifestyle do you want to lead? Healthcare, maybe private healthcare. And then the last one is your business plan and how to get there. It's just very simple. Get those 3 things right, you're going to be just fine.
There we go. Literally, absolutely incredible once again, Matt. And, this was something that I was just about to come on to anyway, but you just mentioned it there, which is about visualization. Because I'm a big believer that every single thing that has ever been created has been created twice. And that's once in the mind and once in reality. Like you mentioned it there about the Ferrari, for instance. You also mentioned earlier about being on the cover of the magazine, and then you actually achieved it as well. So, look, we're in 2024 now. We just stepped into the new year. So anyone, let's say, listening to this now, and they don't see a better future for themselves, they have no goal, they have no vision, what would be maybe the first 1 or 2 steps or action steps that they could take literally today after listening to this?
Yeah, you don't want to set goals. You want to set actions, because goals come and go. Success is an ongoing thing. When you achieve your goal, if you want to call it that, like the Ferrari or whatever it may be, you won't be fulfilled or sad. You're going to want to do the next thing, right? So you need to set yourself action steps, because success is a never-ending thing. I mean, what the hell? I tried to retire when I was 40, right? Just before the lockdown. And, I was going to step back, basically, a little bit. And I ended up basically depressed, nothing to do. All my friends have got to work. There's only so many times you can go to the gym. It's only sometimes you take a holiday. So I went back and I ended up working harder than I've ever had and built this business right up there. But I think setting action steps. First of all, only do what you love. Don't do something you don't love. If you don't love what you do, don't do it at all. If you're stuck in a day job you don't like, don't do it. Work out how you can turn your passion into your profession. And just have that belief that you can do anything you want to do. Just copy people like me who've been there and done it, and just model people. I mean, I still got Christina put an interesting one here. Christina's a good friend of mine. The battle is getting the balance right between all 3: health, personal, and balance. The personal and business. Problem you got. The real truth is, Ryan, there is no such, if I'm honest with everyone, I've got 6 kids, right? There's no such thing as work-life balance, because things have gone wrong with my children. So last year, my son suffers from seizures, and they have a seizure, nasty one, and then they go into cardiac arrest. Now that can happen at any time. I'm not in control of that. I can't balance that. I have to drop everything, stop all my appointments, stop everything, jump in that ambulance, go to the hospital and be with him, and so forth. There is no such thing as work-life balance. People, when you got kids, they go down with flu. You've got to be there for them. You might get ill. You might not feel like it one day, which is totally fine. You might not want to go to the gym one day, which is totally fine. Weather will get in the way. If you're planning your daily walks and it's horrendous weather, then you're going to have to try and get to the gym or do whatever. There's no such thing. This work-life balance thing is complete nonsense. It's just not there. I think the first thing to understand work-life balance is that it does not exist. And what you have to put first is your family, and everything else has to take second best, because just by nature, it will anyway. What are you going to do if your kid's you get called from the school, or your kid's ill, has got flu? Go and pick them up. You can't work. You can't just put your kid in the corner and say, hey, you go get yourself better, 5-year-old. I've got to carry on with my goals, man, because this is not the balance I want. That don't work. You got to look after your kid, look after your wife, and so on. And there is no such thing. It's just it's a bit of a myth out there. Another package that people can be sold by these online fake it till you make it gurus. But I'm on here now with the full what's the time now? 9:05 at night. With the full understanding from my wife, she's like, oh, this is what I love to do. But I've spent all day with her and my kids. We've gone to the movies. We've gone to the town. I've been shopping with her, which I hate doing. Follow my wife around shops. Oh, geez. Took her out for a meal. But she knows I love to do this. It impacts people. She's watching some series on Netflix, which I can't stand. And you know, when she's halfway through it, I can't catch up. So it's kind of like a no-win situation. So for me, this is wonderful to be speaking to you and not having to watch a TV program which I don't even know what the heck's going on because I missed the first 20 episodes. So there is no work-life balance. That's it. You just got, and goal setting is a load of nonsense. Yes, you've got to have goals, but have action. So set up, where do I want to be? How do I want to get there? And you've got to sit down every day. And when life throws you the curveballs, the relationship breakups, the illnesses, the loss of someone in your family, that will happen. People are going to die. Everyone's going to die. It's just the way it is. Can't avoid that. It's one of the only certainties there is. Then you need to sit down and understand that. And you come back and you just readjust your actions to get to your goal. So you're constantly going to have to be readjusting it the whole time. And it's all about like the visualizing. I'll tell you the most famous quote, which I love, right? Walt Disney, who made Disney World all around the world. I mean, they're everywhere now, aren't they? You know, China, I think, and got Euro Disney and Florida. I think there's somewhere else they're in too. People said once to his sons, Walt Disney's sons, isn't it a shame that Walt Disney didn't get to see it? 'Cause he died before it was built. I don't know if you know that. He died before Disneyland was built. And then they turned around. His son said, yeah, no, he saw it. He saw it first in his mind. And that's why you see it now. He saw it clear as day in his mind, exactly the actions he needed to take and where he was going to get to. And he drew it all out. And that's why you saw it now. So Walt Disney did get to see it, even though he died before it was created. So, yeah, I think you got to understand it's an ever-going journey. Success is a journey. It's not a destination. And once you get that concept, you're going to be fine. And the work-life balance thing, that's nonsense. Like the 5 a.m. club, that's a lot of nonsense too. Who wants to be doing that? Who wants to make millions and get up at 5 a.m.? No thanks. I'm quite happy. That's when you get to lay in a bit and spend time with your family and, you know, cuddle your wife and you be with your kids and go read them a story, take them to school. Not slaughter yourself at 5 a.m. and be knackered in the evening and not present for them at dinner time because you've fallen asleep. That's just another thing that's been packaged up and sold out to people. Anyway, don't get me started on that.
Absolutely brilliant, Matt. I love it. I love it.
I don't give a monkey's. I don't need to keep people happy. I'll just tell people as it is because I've been here through the school of hard knocks like you wouldn't believe. And my mum died of breast cancer when she was 56. I was 32. It was a 4-year battle. And you've been through traumas, Ryan, right? You know what this is like. When you see your mum fighting cancer, she had it the first time round when I was in my early 20s. She was in her early 40s. Seeing the chemo and the hair loss and the pain she's gone through and the skin peeling off and operation after operation. And then it comes back and it's secondary cancer all over her body. And she tells you she's got 6 months to live. And then 4 years later, she's still there, but she's battling. And then you see the coffin going into the ground at her funeral. You don't care about work-life balance at that point. Last summer, when my son's heart stopped beating, and we're in the ambulance, and I'm in the ambulance with him, my wife's crying her eyes out in the car behind because they need that one person in the ambulance, and they're giving him cardiac massage. You don't care about your mortgages, your money then. I'm telling you, it's about your freaking family. It's about, that's the balance. Put that first. People that don't are going to have a very miserable life. You don't want to be a multi-millionaire living on a mansion on your own. I've been there and done that, by the way, after my first divorce. And yeah, that's not fun. Family first, always.
Wow, that was so powerful, Matt. And thank you again for sharing it with us. And look, if no one's taken anything from that alone, you need to really listen back to that because that was so powerful. So, Matt, as we sort of bring this up to an end now and wrap it up, I have 5 quick questions that I want to go through with you, if that's okay with you. So, number 1, okay. What is the best piece of advice that you have ever received and why?
Get to America now. Americans are 20 years ahead of us. Come and study what they've done. I don't know, I'll tell you what best, to summarize it, study the greats. Michael Jackson taught me this, right? People think his dancing is all unique to him. It's not. he stole pieces from different people. Fred Astaire, Ginger Roberts, James Brown. And so he studied the greats and made it better. I studied the greats, made it better. So Michael used to say to me, study the best people in the world, copy it, and then make it better. That's the best piece of advice I got.
You go. You don't even have to reinvent the wheel, as they say. So no, that's a brilliant piece of advice.
No, and it's not today's world. Everything other like AI stuff and that, and space travel, everything's been done before, Ryan. I mean, it's people like, you don't need to come up with new ideas. If you want a quick fix to get rich or financial money freedom, I call it, you don't have to come up with new ideas. You just play it simple. It's not that difficult.
Okay, Matt. So the second question is, what is the worst piece of advice that you have ever received and acted on, and what was the result?
When you finish secondary school in the UK, I don't know about other countries, you have something called a careers advisor. She was called Mrs. Godfrey. I'll never forget her name. And we queue up, you see Mrs. Godfrey, and the whole school hall is filled up with people who are offering you careers. And it comes to my turn, and I'm there with Mrs. Godfrey. She says, Matthew, what do you want to do now you're leaving school this year? I'm 16. So I want to be a martial artist. Don't be so stupid. You can never make any money out of that. Go over that table there about working, going to college, or that one there about getting an apprentice, and so forth. Listening to your careers advisor. The fact that she's a careers advisor is that is because she's broke. If I turned around to her and I said to her, would you do your job for free? She would say no, because she's only doing it because she's got a mortgage to pay, rent to pay, bills to pay, maybe she's got kids and so forth. 2 years after that, about 3 years after that actually, I came back to the school because she told me it wasn't going to work, no way I'm going to have it, and she kind of disowned me. I came back to school, I pulled up outside in my brand new Ferrari, and it was all over the media by that point. I asked reception at school, I used to go to this school, can I see Mrs. Godfrey? And she came out and saw me, started crying, and she gave me a hug and apologized that she gave me the wrong advice. So my advice, the worst piece of advice is to listen to your careers advisors. Listen to your parents about careers. Listen to your grandparents is even worse, because the grandparents had bombs coming down their head, at least in the UK in World War II. They were just happy to have a flipping house and have the war over. My grandparents, bless them, they lived to 97 and 98. They lived in the same house for 78 years. I couldn't think of anything flipping worse. So, yeah, be careful. Just don't listen to the advisors in the education system and the government.
Brilliant. And it actually leads straight into our next question, because you mentioned then about, say, taking advice from people who are not in the places where you want to be, whether it's teachers, family members, for instance, friends. And that leads us straight into this next question is, obviously, growing up through, say, childhood, teenage years, early adulthood, we get told so much by the people around us. So for you, what was one of the main things that you had to unlearn whilst growing up?
Had to unlearn was, I learned it very quick though, Ryan, which was that I don't need these GCSE exams for me to be successful. These high school, secondary school exams, they're unimportant to me. I was in a maths class, and the school teacher in the maths class, the mathematics teacher, one of the GCSE questions was how many 50p ways you could put 50p into a red phone box. Remember the red phone boxes we had, like museum pieces now? Was it 5 10p's, 2 20p's? And I just put stupid question. And I turned to the back of my exercise book and I wrote all these goals down, which is like have a Ferrari, and some of them are funny goals, like do the splits like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and become a millionaire by the time I was 20, and all this type of stuff. And I think you need to, for me, it was unlearning that the current school system is screwed. It's outdated. And I moan about this a lot. Let me tell you something, right? If they're watching this, then it doesn't matter, because I think I've upset them already. But it doesn't matter, because I know they agree with me, really. My son, Zach, 9 years old, got called into his parents' evening. There's a problem. So I sat down with the school teacher. And let's bear in mind where she comes from, right? All respect to her. The school teacher I have
It's
a
okay.
problem with
So
my camera.
it
Someone
freezes
says.
sometimes, but it's
Is
okay.
that?
It's fine. Yeah, carry on, my friend.
Oh. Um, the school teacher sat me down with my wife and Zach, and I was very protective of Zach because I don't believe in school. I really don't. And she said, okay, we've got two problems. Number one is that his handwriting is too big. I'm like, okay. And number two is his times table. So when he's in front of this computer and he's got to hit the screen, like 6 times 6 is 12. He's not fast enough. I was like, oh, flipping heck. So is that it? Is that why you've disrupted my day? And my boy here had his confidence knocked over those two things. I said, listen, right, we're in 2000, which is a couple of months ago, we're 2023. In 7 years' time, he's going to leave school. And already we can send a text message just with our voice. Every device we have has a calculator on it. So I can solve those two problems for you, Mrs. Teacher. First of all, so as the handwriting too big, let's give him a keyboard. Because for the last 27 years of my career, all I've had to do is sign my name. That's it. Everything else is done on digital, especially now. Now I sign on DocuSign, right? Electronic. So what's it going to be like when he leaves school? Let's give him a keyboard. Forget all this handwriting nonsense. That was the first thing. Second thing I said, the times table problem. Let's give him a calculator. Why don't you give them a calculator for? Because they're on everything. On iPhones, they're on every digital device, iPads, computers. He won't be working out in his head. I'd rather him studying the greats and action steps and how to achieve and being persistent. And she didn't know what to say to me. But then she sat opposite me. I'm worth 120 million. She's probably on a salary of 21,000 a year. She doesn't really want to be there with 30, 40 screaming kids in the room all day. She doesn't want to be late there doing the parents' here. She didn't know what to say because I'm living proof that you don't need school qualifications to be successful. It is a load of rubbish that they teach you. I mean, one day they would learn how to draw, I think it went on for a week, draw dinosaurs. What's the point of that? Why do we want to do that for? Let's study millions of years ago. Let's study what's going to happen in the future. Let's teach the kids they're going to have challenges, what good debt, bad debt is, how to invest, what are mortgages, how to stop the obesity pandemic that's out there, and get people eating healthier in a younger age, because whatever they eat, young kids can have an impact on their early adult life. The importance of exercise, not drawing freaking dinosaurs. And if she didn't know what to say to me, she wasn't very happy with me, and I've not spoken to her since. I've used her kind of that content on many stages since, but she don't talk to me at the school anymore, so she's probably seen one of my videos. But it's true. Give him a calculator, give him a keyboard. I solved your problem. Let's get on with it, because you're killing my kid's confidence here right now by telling him he's no good at stuff, and he don't need this crap to be successful. He don't need it. He just needs to just duplicate what the people. Do you know what? Most of the people I know, other than a couple, who are really successful, not just in monetized way, not just like the billionaires and millionaires, but the ones who've got really good relationships and are fulfilled and happy, they failed all their school exams, completely failed. The ones that went to university, 99% of them are broke, still paying off their student loans, and have got nothing. Or they studied a subject for 10 years or so that they can't get a career in. That happens a lot too. One of my siblings that happened to, he studied in a career for, I think, until he's 28, and then ended up getting a job in something completely different because there's no jobs available. Job stands to just over broke, and it's true. You don't want to be part of that. So my children understand school is a babysitting service to allow parents to go out and work so they're not so reliant on the government. That's all it is. That's completely all it is. Anyway, that's my rant over on that one.
Absolutely brilliant, my
It's going to be a
friend.
quick
Thank you
answer,
again
and it
so
was.
much. So, Matt, next question would be then, what is the greatest lesson that you learned from your most painful life experience?
I think my mum's funeral was the most painful flipping lesson I've had in the world. It's a bit of a sorrowful story, really. So she passed away on the 25th of May, just after my birthday, 2012. She was 56. And the impact that had on me was incredible, because you lower your mum's coffin into a grave. I was only 32, right? I've got, all I had was a stepdad. And then sadly, about 3 years after, he decided he couldn't cope anymore. And he wrote a letter and he hung himself on a tree in the garden, killed himself. You couldn't cope with my mum anymore. And you realise it's just down to me now. Because a lot of the time when you're, especially with me, I don't know if it's, I'm pretty sure it's normal, you reach out to your parents for advice, you ring them up, you call them, but when they're gone and it's just you, and you've got 6 kids and a wife and a business, it's you is it. And again, it's one of the things I teach. You is it. You are the representation of who you'll become in your future, who you'll become in your career, the man or woman you're going to become, the mother or father you're going to. It's all down to you, not down to your mum or dad, and so on. So the biggest life lesson for me is the money, the material stuff doesn't mean anything. If I lost all my Lamborghini, my Ferraris, my house, my mansions, I couldn't care less. As long as I got my wife and my 6 kids and a roof over my head and food, so I really couldn't care. And Rich House, Poor House kind of drummed that into me as well, Ryan. You know, I swapped home with a family on the council estate and they lived in my mansion. We were fine. My kids were happier than they've ever been. Without smartphones and money at the disposal and Bentleys and all the rest of it. They were absolutely, and I was just as happy too. We're fine. I mean, I was a bit claustrophobic and stuff, but I would have got okay with it. As long as everyone's healthy, that's all that matters, you know? And yeah, sometimes we lose sight of that.
Yeah, I mean, you just explained it there. Like, there's a saying, right? You don't know what you got until it's gone. And when you find yourself not with
Yep.
whatever it is, whether it's friends, family members, things, when you don't have these things or people in your life, you really go, shit. I really wish I would have appreciated having them around or having that thing in my life a bit more. So I believe it always goes back to gratitude as well, being grateful for every single thing that you have in your life, because one day either you're not going to be here to appreciate it, or maybe it just won't be in your life anymore. So yeah, gratitude is super important. So Matt, next question,
It really is.
or I say last question, would be, knowing what you know now, what one piece of advice could you give to your younger self?
Um, one regret I have, which I talk about in that TV show Rich House Poor House, is that I didn't spend enough time with my first 3 children. Although I don't think they hold that against me because I've built up enough my success. They understand that daddy's a bit different. You know, I've had a different life, and they're made forever. They know that deep down. But I I regret not spending enough time with Madison, Lola, and Savannah when I was up and budding entrepreneur starting out. I would work to 2 in the morning, wake up 10, and then I'll be training twice a day as well. So I wouldn't see them very much. Maybe an hour a day. I used to spend Saturdays with them, but yeah, I would have blocked out time to spend with the first 3. That's what I don't regret anything else or want to change anything because it's all worked out wonderfully well. And I met Monique at the right time through strange circumstances. And yeah, obviously there's a few other things too. Like I wish I was there when it comes to Michael Jackson, that night where he passed away. I felt I could have been strong enough to had an influence over the doctor and him, and that he would have listened to me. But I wasn't in the country at the time, so I can't beat myself. He did call me 2 days before he died, so that I kind of sometimes I think, you know, had I been there, I would have done something with him again. Had I been there, he probably wouldn't have, you know, shown that to me because I've been around him for so long. But yeah, I don't have many regrets other than the way success can divide you from your family and so forth. So like if I go back 20 years, Christmases were very different. I'd have my brothers here, I'd have my mum, my dad, my grandparents. It'd be incredible. So what I've had to trade for that, I don't have a relationship with any of my siblings anymore. I've got 3 younger brothers. And it's mainly because of what my life's been different, success. We haven't got much in common. There's a bit of jealousy there. I don't know the full reason. We just kind of drifted away. Also, when grandparents die, you drift away anyway for your uncles and aunties. That naturally happens. When your parents die, that happens too. So yeah, I think the regret I would put, again, come back to family. I would have put the family first a lot more than what I have done. Now it's the opposite. Now I'm all family, and then the business side is second. But then again, I've made it financially now, haven't I? Sometimes I forget, Ryan, too, right? Now, Monique, my wife, is very good at reminding me. So I'll get it. I've got incredible views from this mansion place I live in. And you get used to your surroundings. And I say, I want to be successful. She's like, Matt, what's wrong with you? You got every car a man could want. You got so much money. You got an incredible home. Look at it out there. You've made it. You've done it. It's just that I've done it at such a young age. When you actually get there, you still don't feel fulfilled. This is what you were saying about gratitude. You've got to remind yourself sometimes that you've actually done it. You've made it. You've reached your goal. I've got one of my franchisees, and he's struggling with boredom at the moment. And the fact he's struggling with boredom is that the goals that he set himself 20 years ago, he's actually achieved. He's financially free at 50. It doesn't have to work anymore, but it's hurting him. He's got nothing to do, you know? And that's the same with me. People always assume I'm busy. Oh, you must be really busy. But I'm sorry, but I'm not busy, Ryan. If I don't want to work, I don't have to work. I can step in and out whenever I want to step in and out. And that can be great and that can be bad. Sometimes it's good to have a bit of pressure on you. So I put pressure on me when I want to. And yeah, it's a funny old game, this life game.
Something that just triggered me there, actually. Tony Robbins mentioned it, that it's progress that equals happiness. Like when we're sat there bored doing nothing, we're not progressing, we're not advancing in our lives. So we feel shit, to be fair. And I've done a video about it last year when I was in Medellin here in Colombia. And I poured a pina colada over my head to grab the attention of people. But I said, literally, sat on a beach all day doing nothing, drinking pina coladas is fucking boring. Look, it's good to do one or two, maybe a day or a weekend or a week away on holiday. But when people say, when I win the lottery, I'm going to sit on the beach for the rest of my life drinking cocktails, good luck with that. See how bored you get after a week or two, because you're not progressing in your life. The same people are going to come past you. The cocktails are going to taste the same after a while. The sea's always going to be the same temperature. Like, you're not progressing it. You're going to see the same old shit over and over again. You're going to normalize it, and then you're not going to appreciate it anymore as well. So I'm a big believer of...
That goes back to, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's so important.
Matt, as we wrap this up now, I say I had the 5 questions, but I have actually one bonus question that I didn't tell you about either. So the question is, what is the best thing about being Matt Fiddes?
The best thing, apart from I got an incredible family, so people don't want to hear all that, right? It's a cliche stuff. The best thing is I could do what I want, whenever I want, and not have to look at bank receipts. Yeah, to me it's normal, right? But it's not normal, is it? So I can buy anything I want in the world, pretty much, and not have to worry about it. So that's, to most people, they would think that's cool. That's cool. So I can go and just drop 350 grand on a new car and take any holiday I want, go anywhere I want, and not have to worry about it. Having financial abundance from my properties and from my businesses and stuff, and what I've invested in over the years. To most people, that would be the best thing. For me, the best thing is having 6 healthy kids and a great wife and support network. And my community around me, my franchises, my clients and stuff, they're all awesome. They're all wonderful. I mean, I could push on for them, really, because they're just fantastic. But I think the best thing about being Matt Fiddes actually probably would be that I've got the ability and experience as a mentor that no one else in the world has had. No one has been that close to Michael Jackson, Muhammad Al-Fayed, and seen the inner secrets of being the world's biggest superstar, and how their mind ticks and how they make money, and having a contact book like I have. That's probably the best thing, actually, is that I can offer people that something that no one else can do. You cannot recreate my life. You can model people. You can't model me. You know, no one's going to be able to do that again. I don't believe there'll be anyone as famous as that guy ever again. And to be gifted to be in that world of that contact book and his network elevated me to be where I am. You know, sometimes I question myself, would I be where I am now if it weren't for Michael Jackson? And the real truth is that man opened massive doors for me. I did lots to his career as well and helped him out as a friend, but yeah, it definitely had a rub off. People are fascinated by the most famous man in the world, you know. So the greatest gift for being Matt Fiddes is to be able to help others that will the way that no one else can. Like when I do stage talks, the other speakers get attention, but when I tell my story, they're really fascinated by it because it is like a flipping fairy tale, isn't it? Let's be honest. Poor boy, multi-millionaire, superstars. It's just unbelievable what's gone on in my life, and yeah, I wouldn't
Matt,
change anything.
I,
Maybe get away with a few grey
look,
hairs here and there.
Look, mate, I've really
Botox.
enjoyed this, Matt, my friend. I swear this has been so incredible, and so many people that are going to listen to this are going to take so much away from this. And yeah, they can learn so much from the words that you shared today. So, Matt, as we bring this to an end now, anyone that is listening and they want to say learn more about you, what you do, connect with you on a further level, what's the best way for someone to connect with you and understand more about what you do?
Yeah, well, I run a very simple low entry because I can, because I've got other businesses and probably I don't need to charge the money that others do. I know it sounds ridiculous, Ryan, but it's 33 pence a day, £9.99 a month. I run a membership site and I really look after them. I offer give them tremendous value videos every week in every sector of business, and all my entrepreneur friends who are the real deal. I get them involved. We put on live events for free for £9.99 a month, and it's just basically a website www.mf.club. Yeah, so Christina's put it. Thank you, Christina. So they just go to that. Might be able to type it in, will I? Let me see. I'm very techie. I'm not. It's very simple, and once you join in there, do you know the biggest value with this is that I have a WhatsApp group that I'm in. Well, there's quite a few WhatsApp groups in there, but I'm in, and you get to network with me. And I do respond to people's challenges and take their calls or message them and do voice notes, and I love it. It's my passion. The thing with me, going to the gym, I have to do because it's what I do and what I'm about, and so that's my hobby, right? So that's not my hobby. That's my life. Going to the gym is my life. Martial arts is my life. So that's what I have to do because that's who I am. Studying business, but my hobby is helping people become successful business people. Because having MF stands for money freedom. It's not Matt Fiddes Club. It's money freedom. I want people to be financially free of money. I believe most depressions caused by the lack of money, sleeping problems, marriages, divorces, ending the divorces because of money, bad relationship with kids, doing the jobs they don't want to do, slaving for money. And no one teaches this stuff. So I'm out there teaching it for 33p a day. I get a lot of problems and hate on that, but I don't care less. And I teach them everything. It's a one-stop shop for entrepreneurship and investing. So whereas you'd have to spend 30 grand for each course or do a 3-day masterclass and not get anywhere, I just tell them as it is, like I'm on this live for £9.99 a month. That's basically it. So if they go to www.mf.club and they can go just hook in there, join the WhatsApp group. I'm in there. Proximity's power. Introduce yourself. Say hello. What do you need to? What you want to achieve? What kind of niche you're in? What you're passionate about? And we take it from there. There's over 350 hours worth of videos and content in there too. So I see a lot of my people are commenting here. Thank you, everyone. You MF.club legends. Awesome. But yeah, I enjoy that. It's my
Matt,
little
thank you
passion project.
again so much, my friend. Everyone that's been on now who will listen to this, visit www.mf.club and go and check it out for yourself if you want to know more about what Matt does and about what he's offering today. So thanks everybody for being here. Matt, thank you so much for sharing your incredible words today. I'm sure so many people are going to take stuff from this
You're
today.
welcome.
So Matt, just before we end, is there anything else that you wanted to finish on or to leave us with?
Yeah, actually, what
No,
you're
I've
doing. You've
just
got a book
launched it
coming out, haven't
actually.
you?
So yeah, no, thank you for asking by the way. So yeah, for me, I've just launched my book, which is titled "Sort Your Shit Out," and it's literally how to design the life of your dreams. And everything is in there. How I took my life from deathbed to sunbed, and from depression to progression, because I literally took my life from complete calamity to crystal clear clarity. Like I didn't have a clue what I wanted, where I was once in my life,
Yeah.
and now I'm literally living my dream now. So yeah, thank you, Matt, for mentioning that.
Where the heck? Where do you
So
actually live, right? Because I can't
no,
keep track
I
of
live
you.
in
You actually got a base
Buckinghamshire.
in
So I
England or
had a
not?
house a long time ago with my ex-girlfriend. We split up, we sold the house, moved back in with my parents for a couple of years, and then yeah, I've been traveling Latin America ever since April 2022. So I've been here in Colombia. No fixed address.
So you got no fixed address? No
I'm
way.
free. I like to be free. So
Wow.
I will
Do you ever
come
come
back
back
to
to
Got some
England?
clothes then. I've been wearing the same clothes for 2 years.
Now, when you're back, look me up because always got great weather here
Yeah,
too.
no, for sure. We need to
Uh,
connect, Matt. But yeah,
yeah,
I need to come back. I do need to come
yeah,
back to the UK. But look,
definitely.
for me, I'm loving Latin America at the minute. Who knows if I'll be here for longer? But at the moment, I'm going to be here in Colombia for at least another 3 months, if not another six. Yeah, let's see how things go and let things unfold the way that they should unfold. And at the minute, this is the right track for me. So yeah, I'm going to stay on this track.
Cool.
Thank you, Matt.
You're
Thank you
living the
so
dream,
much.
bro. You're living the
Right,
dream.
so
You're welcome.
everybody, there we
Thanks
go,
everyone for
everybody.
joining.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Ryan.
Go and follow Matt. Go and join his club, www.mf.club. Go and get yourself over there. Join the community. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody's taken something away from this today, and I'm sure you would have. Matt, thanks again, my friend, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.
You're welcome.
Bye
See
bye.
you
Bye
later.
bye.